I'm broke. I don't have any money to spend to get help. Really? Okay, let's talk about that. If you do everything yourself, you do all your social media, you do all your paperwork, you do all of that, and you're so busy, you burn out so quickly, and you're running like a chicken with its head cut off, how do you get anything done? What's your reputation like? What do you look like? Hi, I'm Kathy Burns, and I was dead broke. I get not having any money, trying to figure it out, how you're gonna do it all. There's still ways to have a plan, and that's what I'm here today to kind of help you with. So if you're interested, subscribe below, stay tuned, and I'll give you some tips along the way of how I made it through that period. I used to be a financial planner years ago. I sold insurance and annuities. But I did pay attention to niches, and I paid attention to a strategy of how to narrow in on the areas that would make me successful so that I could dive into that field, that quick start per se. So when I moved to North Carolina from Michigan, I was dead broke. That's another whole story. But anyway, I had to start from scratch. I didn't have any money, and I had to figure out how I was going to start to sell houses. Fortunately, I had a background with my family being in the real estate industry, and my financial planning background gave me an idea to really evaluate numbers. Early on, I was connected with a realtor who was also an appraiser who taught me how to appraise homes. And so now I can almost see them and get a gut feel pretty quickly because I've studied them. So some of the things that I'm going to teach you when you're a new agent that you need to pay attention to. A lot of agents are just so hungry, they will drive an hour and a half, 2 hours to just do a listing. They'll take listings that are only $100,000, $200,000 price points, and they will have typically higher splits with the firm that they're with, and they're netting very little. You need to always pay attention to your net. So you may not know this, but you can hire VAs in the Philippines starting at $4 an hour. You say, oh, that's just like criminal. It's not. That's the going wage. That's a high going wage for that area. And they're actually eager to have those jobs. Doesn't mean you can't promote them and start to pay them more as they work out. I have many VAs working for me, and I'll have them do specific subjects. Sometimes some of them are ongoing, some of them are just for what they call a gig, just a short project that we've got going on. Fiverr's another tool, Fiverr, where basically you're hiring someone to do a quick thing for you. Like I wanted the cover of a card that I was going to send out that had I got a guy and a gal on it. And I gave them an idea of what the colors were, the types of fonts that I had. And I hired the people at Fiverr because I wanted a card done. I didn't even know about VAs at that time. I didn't even know those are actually VAs anyway. And so what that did for me was it gave me the opportunity to go on this website, Fiverr.com, Fiverr, where you could just post a job that you want done, say how much you're willing to spend. I did logos that way. I did the front of a card. That was where I was specific about the colors that I wanted, the kind of script, the size that I wanted it to be to fit on the front of a card that I would do regular mailings on. I wanted one of those logo signatures, like a script. That was mine. I even had a voiceover where someone read a script about myself and my partner on their team. And you can have all that stuff done on there, and you can also hire a VA who'll do a short-term project. I think even on Fiverr, you can hire them to do a short-term project. But the other tool that I use is onlinejobs.ph. And there's very specific ways of how you want to hire someone on there, how you want to put your ad. And I'll do another video on that. I learned it from another gal who's with EXP who did multiple courses on it for me, and I went to 2 of them because I really wanted to understand how to leverage my time. And that's exactly what you're going to need to do as a new agent. Hopefully you've got a budget, because this is a business where you have a budget to get started in a certain period of time. Hopefully you've got grit, because you're going to have to be creative. this is a challenging market, and it's the ones who have grit and pay attention to where they're spending their money and their time, and they lay it all out with a plan. And they get on things like this where they learn from other agents that have been through challenging times, who've created things with no money. Like I created things with no money or very little. So anyway, back to this. When I first came here, the market was exploding. This was 2006, I got my license. The market was on fire. Houses were selling like crazy, and there were so many agents. And I moved into a waterfront area. And I thought, well, I'm from Michigan. I like waterfront. I'd like to live on the water, and I'd like to sell those waterfronts. But I quickly saw that there was a group of agents that had pretty much wrapped up the million plus. And I thought, okay, that's not going to be my target market. My target market would be the second home buyer who wanted to be on the water, and they were looking for cottages. They were more affordable. They were over 400,000 at that time. Now you'd be lucky to find a lot with mud on it on the water for 400,000 because prices have changed so much since then. But my price point was from 400 to 900. I targeted in on that, and I figured out that I was going to become a waterfront specialist. My goal was to be able to rent a cottage on the lake at some point so I would have more proximity to it. And so I started working a formula of how I would figure out who those people were that had already properties on those lots, so I could start to build a database. Now that wasn't easy back then because I had to use the tax records, and it was a very slow process to figure it out. Today, would I hire a VA to go track that down for me? You bet I would, and I do. And I pay her $4.25 an hour. And she not only tracks down all those waterfront people, she gets the address, their name, and through different tools that I've got, we get phone numbers as well. I just did a whole video about exactly how I do that, so check that one out. And then, anyway, so back then, though, it was a slower process for me, so I was spending my time. I didn't know that I could hire a VA. You do know that now, so you can. And so anyway, I also knew I was not going to be driving all over town, driving an hour here and there to try and get the business on the leads because I didn't have the gas money. I didn't want to beat up my car. I couldn't afford the car repairs. So I was staying local, which is smart. I also became an expert in the area. I went and previewed homes like crazy. You could preview homes too. You can go out and preview homes no matter what company they are. Preview them with your iPhone, get the agent's permission first, ask if you can market that house on social media, give credit to who the listing agent is. I would do it in the fine print within your copy versus in the video itself, but you do need to give them credit. But tell them to reach out to you. They're the listing agent. You're the one that can represent them and help them with that. I reached out to an agent here locally. We had an astronomically high-priced property come on the market, very rare. And I reached out to her and I said, "Hey, girl, can I bring my videographer and do a whole marketing presentation on that in your property?" And she goes, "No." I'm like, "Want to ask your sellers? Maybe they might say something different." She was not amused. Anyway, that was through a text. So, darn it. I still want to do that property. And I noticed that other agents did TikToks on that same house. And they gave credit to that agent, but they used her pictures, which actually you're really not allowed to use somebody else's pictures. So be careful of that. Anyway, so you could go out, like, let's say, walk through Wednesdays or whatever. You create your little niche that you do in your social media and you start doing it. But don't just do it on that house, because what I've learned from this one guy with this YouTube channel, he says, if you're going to go do a preview of a house, then do the neighborhood. Do the whole thing. That house is just an example of the neighborhood. Don't be afraid to make it a longer video that then you chop it up into shorts and reels, and you really leverage your time. So maybe you pick one day a week that you're going to do that. And you don't have to be the graphics person that's chopping that all up either. You can hire that VA who's a graphics VA and a videographer where they chop it all up and they create it for you. If you're paying $4 an hour and you have an agreement of how much time you're going to spend on one, those videos will live long past you. And I would encourage you to do them in YouTube on your own YouTube channel. That's powerful. That's long living, and that's why you do it beyond the house, because not everybody's going to be interested in that house, but they may be interested in that neighborhood, right? So think about that. So now we're saving money, not driving all around town. We're previewing properties, then we're getting known. We're doing it on all our social media, but primarily you want to start with YouTube and let it filter out into those other ones. And also you want to interview different businesses as well with your phone, and just start doing regular interviews. You want to become known, and don't count on Facebook to push out your stuff. It all goes down in the feed. So I do the homes when I have like a new listing that I've got. I do the home on my business page, and then I share it to my personal page. I create reels from it throughout the time. I'll do reels, because a reel can be chopped up pretty quick. There's also there's an AI out there for chopping up longer videos into shorts and reels that you can get, and I think it's really reasonably priced. Can't remember the name of it. That's going to be on you. So many cool things with AI. But I encourage you to just create your business plan. Pay attention to what your time is worth. What do you want your time to be worth? Do you want it to be worth $75 an hour, $150 an hour, $500 an hour? Figure out how you got to back it out, or what kind of production you need to do to be earning that kind of money. And if you want to be making that kind of money, why are you doing $4 an hour stuff, right? I don't have the money. You'll never get the money if you don't delegate some of that. Have a budget. Make sure some of that money's going over there, because that's how you can diversify it. Think smart, people. This is your business, unless it's a hobby. If it's a hobby, could you get out, please? Because the business builders, you're just mucking up the works. And there's a lot of you hobbyists out there. Usually the hobbyists aren't watching these videos though, because this is just something to get some extra spending money. Stop taking away from the business people out here. Really ticks me off, actually. Anyway, that's another story. So grit, tenacity, check in with videos like mine. I've got lots of different tips in here. Wrote a book as well. Be sure and check out the book and see if we can't help. I'm at eXp Realty. And that has really, really, really changed the trajectory of my career. If you're open to talking about that, let's do. If you're not, okay. I'm not begging anybody to come over. I'm looking for the people that are looking for me. And that's why I do these videos, to help. I hope this helped you. Stay tuned for more and share the word.